Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 12th Level Intellects. Today we've got a pretty cool look inside the creation of the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures comic series. Ted Kendrick, writer of our Legacies webcomic, got the chance to record a live panel with writer Matthew Manning and artist John Sommariva at the 2017 NC Comic-Con Oak City in North Carolina last month. Issue number 6, the final issue in the series, is coming out May 10th, so be sure to grab that at your local comic store, or the internet, or wherever you read comics. We won't judge. If you look at the length of this video and you're like, geez, this is long, just know that I cut it down from nearly 45 minutes, so you're welcome. Enjoy!
Hey, how's everybody doing today? Woo! Having a good time? Fantastic. Welcome to NC Comic-Con Oak City. I'm Collin Norris from the Name Redacted podcast. And with me today, I have Matt Manning and John Sommariva of Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures. And this is a little bit of a unique situation. This is the first time these guys have met each other in person. They have done all their work basically apart for 5 issues now?
6.
6 issues now.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. So let's start with that. And let's talk about how that process sort of played out. Not being able to interface within the same time zone.
Yeah.
Or even the same side of the world or the same hemisphere.
Or even the same planet.
The same planet, yeah.
We met this morning for the first time. We recognized each other because I actually drew Matt in one of the issues. Like there's a little crowd scene where people are panicking and running away because of the Scarecrow's fear gas and
pushing my wife out of the way to run away from her.
Yeah.
Makes me look really good, thanks.
It's kind of the way the world works now. You know, the internet has kind of made the world one nice big global place. So people like me from the other side of the planet, I'm able to work for companies over here, and you know, our colorist was in Japan.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it's not anything that out of the ordinary in today's day and age. Even if we were all based in the States, we'd probably be in different areas.
So you've worked on TMNT for a while. I'm not quite as familiar with your catalog of work.
Well, I basically have been doing this going on 14 years now,
Okay.
Working professionally in comic books. My first thing was published through Image Comics. A guy called Jay Furby had like a book called Noble Causes, and he asked me if I wanted to do a backup story in that, and then from there I showed that off at Wizard World or something. Like people at Dark Horse, they saw it and they gave me some work. So I did Go-Go 7, Star Wars Tales, I did a bunch of stuff. I went back to Image and then I did some more at Dark Horse, and I did some stuff at DC. So the kind of projects that I've always been put on were fringe things, not really the big mainstream kind of properties or anything like that. It's just more stuff that's either based on a computer game or a children's book that's just come out or something like that. So it was kind of cool because I get in on the ground level. I was able to bring my own style and sort of flavor to the project. You know, I grew up on the Turtles, and they were just a property that I loved, you know, since I was a kid. Just did a bunch of Ninja Turtle drawings and put them on my website, and then I guess someone at IDW saw that and asked if I was interested in doing some Turtle stuff. So.
Right on. And so Matt, what was your sort of journey to this project?
Well, my first job in comics was in about 2002. I did Justice League Adventures issues.
Okay.
So it was already kind of in the same animated world, actually, and so it's kind of fun to go full circle back to it. But a lot of the animated books, some of the regular mainstream books as well, but like Batman Strikes and Beware the Batman. I was watching the new Turtles cartoon with my daughter, and I was like, oh, you know, I really like this. I want to write for this. And I just emailed the editor, and he was like, oh yeah, you know, pitch me some stuff. So I started working for New Animated Adventures, what it was called first, and then it was Amazing Adventures.
Okay.
They told me that they were going to do this crossover, and they asked me if I wanted to pitch for it, and pitched it, and they liked it, and DC liked it as well, and so we just kind of went from there.
I remember going to see the first Ninja Turtles film. Grew up on BTAS, so when I saw the art style of, you know, the new Turtles versus that original feel of Batman the Animated Series, it immediately felt like something new and something familiar at the same time. Sort of welled up when I first found that. Like, and I started to read the book again as like an 8, 9, 10-year-old. The humor is spot on. I have to applaud you guys for bringing a little piece of my childhood back. There's this weird sort of flip. The way you've written it, Gotham City is the more normal place, whereas New York City, as they can see it, is this weird, bizarre place with weird turtles. But the Clown Prince of Crime totally makes sense. Was that intentional?
I mean, the Turtles cartoon's a little bit more off the wall than Batman the Animated Series, where it took things a lot more serious. I mean, there's a lot of melodrama and very, you know, I guess grounded a little bit. When I was approached to write this, it was kind of like an easy way to get from world to world with the Krang portals, because the Turtles have already been to other dimensions. In the Turtles cartoon, they went to the 80s cartoon universe at one point.
Which I read and enjoyed.
It's great, and already this kind of multiple worlds thing. I was like, oh, that's the easiest way to get them. Why are these portals appearing? Became an important part as I was plotting it out. You know, I wanted to try to get to the action as fast as possible. The biggest problem was that they had already done a Batman Turtles series, and so we didn't want to really retread that. And so it was kind of like, well, I still have to have our Turtles meet our version of Batman for the first time. So we still had to do some of the retreading, but then after like the first, 2 issues, we were trying to make it a little bit more silly in scenes with, when it works, like with Mikey, you can always do silly things with him. And so we started building up the Mikey-Robin relationship, and hopefully in some different places. And I think we have a very different result.
As soon as the Joker put on Shredder's helmet, I lost it.
John's idea of putting when the Joker's hyenas get mutated,
right,
put them in the Joker suits, which I was like, oh, that's a great idea, which I didn't even think of. So I love seeing that kind of stuff.
I have to ask, whose idea was it? Your idea to put Condiment King in there?
No, Matt had put that in. It was kind of like a little suggestion. You put Condiment King if the mood strikes. That's what it said in the script, and I was like,
you're like, of course the mood's gonna strike.
Yeah, every once in a while I do these panels where I list all these characters. I'm like, and if you want to put this guy in too, you can put them in. And then John's like, challenge accepted. To add everything in there.
Now, the idea to use Batman the Animated Series, did that come from the publisher, or is that sort of a design decision between the two of you?
Well, they wanted to use Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
We talked about some other things originally, and I don't know, someone at DC decided we want to use Batman the Animated Series with the new Turtles. I was like, okay, and I did another pitch, and that was what it was accepted. And then I said, are we doing the new Batman Adventures, or are we doing the original animated series? And they said, I don't know. And I said, well, just ask them which Robin. And so they went back and they said, is it going to be Dick Grayson? And they said, no, they want Dick Grayson Robin. I'm like, okay, so the whole thing's going to be set there. And then we decided, in my mind, I was like setting it after the original animated series ends, before the WB starts.
Okay.
So kind of in that little lull, that's where it kind of takes place a little bit. And then in Turtles, I can't remember what season, we had to do it all before the last couple seasons because the Turtles spent a season in space. Mm-hmm. So we had to just set it all before then because things dramatically changed in their universe during that time. And so, I'm a huge fan of the animated series. As a kid, I used to run home and throw the VCR and then tape every episode. So I have all the Fox Kids Club commercials that were in between. But it was, I think, just because I knew how dedicated fans are for that property, particularly, and even more than the current Turtles. You have a lot of fans, but they're not as die-hard as far as continuity and things, whereas the animated series has been around, for a couple decades, and so people are...
Don't remind me.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's because when I first heard about the crossover, I was very excited. And then I saw it was the new Turtles, and I'm not going to lie to you, I'm a little stuck in my ways. I remember, my old school Ninja Turtles, the Kenner action figures, all that good stuff. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. And then I read it, and I was like, oh, these are my Turtles and my Batman, just the Turtles look a little bit different. You guys held true to the characters, whether it be the dialogue or the facial structures of them, and I just love the idea that Donatello has a gap in his teeth now. That's something I don't watch the new show, so when I saw that, I was very surprised.
You have the different color headbands from the old, and you have some of that personality and some of those villains like Bebop and Rocksteady from the old cartoon. You have some elements from the original comics, and you have
pick and choose the best parts.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's a good fruit salad. Is there going to be, after this 6, can we talk about, no?
We can all cross our fingers and wish.
Yeah, there's nothing definite for us. But I mean, we hope so. We hope people, bother DC with tweets and emails until, they cave in.
Nickelodeon Turtle series is actually ending. They're finishing that series and they're going to start a new one starting in 2018. So there's every chance that that's probably going to be how the Turtles animated comics continue, with that sort of a style and all that. So those two properties just fit so well together. They make for a really cool combo. We had things like Snakeweed and Poison Ivy crossing together, so you got two plant-based characters. I thought
that was awesome.
And there's just so much more of that type of crossing over.
And my dream would be to do the movie version. I want to do the Michael Keaton Batman crossing over with the 90s Turtle movie.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
That would be cool.
There's all sorts of little dips and dives. Probably my favorite is the opening gag of Mikey pretending to be a superhero.
So after I drew the page, I basically sent it to the inker and the colorist, and I didn't send them any of the following pages. And so both of them wrote back to me, and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe we get to draw Batman straight away on the first page." And I'm like, "Yes, it's Batman."
What's next for both of you? Now that we're done with the 6-part series.
So myself and my wife, we had a little baby.
Congratulations.
Right at the thank you.
Congratulations.
Believe me, it was not too hard for me. It was a very easy job. But yeah, that happened right when this project began. So basically, he's drawn up as I was getting this project done. Now that I'm done, I'm looking forward to taking a little bit of time off. What do? I escaped to America and left them back in Australia. So once I get back, we're doing a little tour, so promoting the book and all that sort of stuff, and doing a few shows.
I have a couple things in the works I can't talk about yet.
Those are always the best projects you cannot talk about.
Several different books coming out. I have a Batgirl book from Scholastic coming out. I have a anatomy book about the DC characters. So it's kind of like going through and talking about exactly why their powers work and how that I'm writing. I've also been doing a lot of short stories now for this children's book app. It's called Amazon Rapids. Some are serialized and then some are just their own original things.
I'm gonna ask you a couple who would win in a fight questions. Okay. So who would win in a fight? Clayface or Bebop?
Mudbutt?
Yeah.
The Mudbutt. That killed me, by the way. The Mudbutt thing, I was cracking
That's what we were talking about. I wasn't sure I was going to be allowed to do that. The licensed properties are different. Like when I write like a Batman book or something, and if I have Warner Bros. Will be like, oh no, we can't. We have to trademark that or something. And I was like, I told to both my daughters, I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they just couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, all right, that's what we're going with. So, but yeah, out of those two, I think Clayface.
So I'm going to say Bebop because what's going to happen is he's going to see like the mud. And he's just going to be happy like a pig in mud. That's the same, right? I'm a dad now. I'm allowed to do dad jokes, all right?
Mr. Freeze versus Krang. Yeah, I'm talking about OG.
Just like the old
original, the one inside the dude.
Krang is a brain. Mr. Freeze gives him a brain freeze.
Did it again.
Good thing I'm not writing the comic.
All right, I think we're going to open up to a few questions from the audience.
How did you guys decide which rogues to choose?
I realized it would be best for Arkham Asylum to be the main one. So there's actually some rogues I couldn't get to use. Like I really wanted to do a Man-Bat story, but since it was Arkham Asylum, Man-Bat's not in Arkham, so I couldn't do that. So it was mostly centered around Arkham. The whole Clayface came about was because I wanted to use Killer Croc, but the last Batman Turtle series, they fought Killer Croc in the sewer right away, and I'm like, all right, not that one. So I think, and then Two-Face made sense at the beginning because of the two realities.
We had our sort of list of all the villains that we were going to be able to use, and then I started to get really greedy at one point. And I was like, it really sucks, man. We don't get to draw the Riddler, we don't get to draw Penguin, we don't get to do like all these other characters. Yeah. And so then Matt's like, all right, writes this panel where basically all the villains appear in that one panel. It was like 21. Bat rogues, and I was like, all right, I asked for it. Now I get to draw them, so it was really cool. We got to sneak them in there. I was pretty impressed, actually. Like, so I put that out on my Instagram and Facebook page and stuff, and I said, let's see who can name all the characters, and tons of people.
I was about to say
every single character. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of the project? Just why?
Well, normally my favorite part is the plotting because it's always the hardest part, but it's always the most fun. We did 5 issues, and they said, "Oh, can you do one more?" And we already kind of had the story kind of ends in issue 5, so we decided to do a standalone special as like the 6th. And I think it was that one because we were kind of in the, like I was kind of like in the groove then. I realized it was the last thing I got to do another adventure with these characters. Issue 6 is very action heavy. I was kind of trying to make it a little bit more room for you to work actually, but it didn't turn out that way.
For me, it was a dream come true to get to draw that version of Harley Quinn, good old original Bruce Timm version. That character was just so cool to me when I first saw her, in the cartoon when I was a kid, and just to get to actually draw that version professionally, pretty awesome for me, I guess.
And let me tell you, like seeing those old BTAS characters, every time Batman said something, I heard Kevin Conroy. Every time Joker said something, I heard Mark Hamill.
I definitely think you captured Joker's voice perfectly.
Perfectly.
Just the way that he talks.
Perfectly.
Yeah, so.
I'd written a book called The World According to the Joker, and when I write Batman, I don't hear any actor voice or anything. I just kind of hear this version of Batman I've been reading since I was like a kid. But Joker, I always hear Mark Hamill, so it was kind of like, I wrote this World According to Joker book, and I was like in the Joker voice all the time, so this was kind of just like going back to that again. And he was probably the easiest for me to write. I gotta make a Joker that was actually a little bit funny and kind of creepy, which, I feel like sometimes they miss the boat when you don't have the funny part.
Do you ever find yourself inserting Australian slang or parlance, cheap as chips, berry bread or something like that?
How do you know all these things? You sound like you've been backpacking around Australia or something. I'm not writing the script, so I can't sneak that stuff in there, I guess. But what I do in a lot of the comics I've drawn, if there's ever a character drinking a beer or something, I'll make a can of VB. Like that's one of our beers down in Australia, very cheap Bogan beer, as we call it.
How did you decide on the new look of the Turtles?
Obviously, the Turtles have been designed by the Nickelodeon people, and I think they've done a great job. Sort of going off what you were talking about before, I was very much saying, like, when that version first came out, I was like, why have they done this to the turtles? They've given them 3 toes, you know, and as soon as you watch the first episode of that series, it makes sense. I mean, they have 3 fingers, why wouldn't they have 3 toes? It's actually weird that they have 2 toes, you know. And so, for me, the challenge was to draw them in a way that I feel very comfortable with, you know, and making them fit in a 2D style, and then making them fit with the Batman stuff. So in issue 6, we spend a lot more time in Gotham, tried to really embrace more of that Gotham and the Batman animated style.
Sort of that Art Deco.
Yeah. Way more Art Deco. Like, and it was really important to not try to make the Turtles New York look Art Deco. So I wanted it to look more grungy and gritty, the way I might draw New York City if I was drawing a Spider-Man comic or something, you know. I had to feel like those characters were coming into this world. And another little trick that I used was to actually, for anything that was set in Gotham City, I would use a black outside of the page, so the page is actually a black page.
Which is exactly how Bruce Timm did it.
Yeah, that's right. They started with all the black background stuff, and then with the turtle stuff, the pages are all white. So
I got a hypothetical. So issue 6, you're jumping ahead to the new Batman Adventures time. If you had a potential issue 7 and you went to Batman Beyond, what would the Turtles look like?
I actually have a future turtle story that I've been really wanting to do that I can't talk about because it still might happen at some point, but it wouldn't be the animated. But so I'd have some definite ideas for you. But yeah, because I guess in the Batman Beyond they have a lot of the splicers. They have animal DNA mixed with humans, so turtles would actually even make more sense in that reality than they do in their own, I think.
What is some of your favorite like Easter egg or something that someone might miss? You know, something you included just maybe for yourself.
Basically, in every comic book I've ever drawn, I've hidden a Mega Man. So I played a lot of Mega Man when I was a kid, and so if you look through the issues, you'll find him hidden throughout, one per issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Batman's under Scarecrow's in the fear gas, and he's like going through, and he sees Gotham City, and he sees the Monarch Theater where his parents died. And parents died at the Mark of Zorro, but of Zorro is missing, so it just says the Mark because Batman's, the Scarecrow's mark for that scene, and so I thought that was kind of fun, and that was one of those things that I was surprised that no one on the internet talked about. I wanted to try to do fears that were very specific to the situation. So instead of Batman's normal fears, it's like, Batman is scared of what's happening to Gotham while he's gone. And then Raph has always been scared of bugs. So that's why he sees everybody as giant bugs all the time.
Given the relationship between the Turtles and Batman and your proximity to said relationship, what is your professional opinion on how many slices of pizza Bruce Wayne can eat?
I did a book called The Batman Files. I had a page where Alfred makes a sarcastic menu for Bruce because he's never eating anything. Like that, we even made a joke about it in issue 1 where Alfred has a tray of nothing and scrapes nothing into the trash can. So I actually made a sample menu of exactly what he eat. I also did his workout routine for that book. Because I met with 2 of my friends are CrossFit trainers and that I health nuts, and so I met with them.
Can I add something to this? I've read the Batman Files.
Oh, yeah.
I used to frequent a fitness page.
Oh, yeah.
And people tried to do that workout. And you guys can look it up. Go buy the book from Matt. It is the most insane workout ever. But go right
That's
now.
what I said. What's the most brutal workout an obsessive person would do? Yeah. And so they wrote me that. I was like, okay, I'm going to take that and make it even worse. And I saw, I think Men's Fitness, one of the big men's magazines, did an article on it. And they posted it, and I have all these dudes that are like, oh man, that's impossible. Nobody can do that. I can't do that. And I was like, you're not Batman. That's
You're not an orphan with $1 billion. That's why.
So that was a terrible non-answer to the pizza question.
I'd say, I reckon you could eat 2 pizzas.
It wasn't permanent. All right, Matt, John, let's give these guys a round of applause.